I have a few announcements to make. Pushpesh, I hope you're able to unmute yourself. Um, Great. I'll invite Pushpesh, but before that, uh, I would like to make an announcement about our team and our sponsors. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Bhomesh, and uh, I have been here for last 15 years. I've been in Bangalore for the last 15 years. I graduated in 2005. I was in Patel Hall. I was in electronics department. So that's what about me. KGP STAC is the initiative of KGP Alumni Association, and I would want to thank the whole team. I'm sure some of you looked at the screen and you saw the team. Hanuman Shukla, Kimi, Anand Anupam, Ramji Ganti. I hope I am not missing any name. Madhumita. So we have a team behind. So when I'm talking here, I'm just the face. There's a lot of hard work which has gone behind making this thing happen. And I would like to definitely thank our sponsor. And our sponsors are Affine Analytics, founded by a KGP alumnus, Manas Agarwal. Is a leading enterprise analytics consulting firm working with more than 50 Fortune 500 global enterprise across US, UK, Europe, and Asia Pacific region. Okay. So before I get started, I have muted everybody as of now except Pushpesh. We have gone live on YouTube, so I'm sure people who are not able to join in the Zoom call, they can be part of the YouTube live session. I would request you guys to keep asking questions, which we will be obviously asking Pushpesh towards the end. People who are on YouTube channel should also ask questions just by putting into the comments. Okay. So now our wait is over. Let me get Pushpesh online. Hi Pushpesh, can you hear me?
Hey Bhomesh, yes, I can hear you. Okay, you can hear me fine?
Yes, very good.
Oh.
So thanks Pushpesh for giving your time. I am sure Saturday afternoon it would have been busy with family or other commitments, but I'm thankful to you because all the KGP entrepreneurs are looking forward to hear from you. So why don't you introduce yourself a little bit? I know people know that you are from Kharagpur, Computer Science, 2008 pass out. Some of those you are from Nehru. Some of those things are already listed on all our posters, but I'm sure you have a journey beyond just Kharagpur. I'm sure where you come from, and then we'll talk about your Kharagpur journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So first of all, like thanks Bhomesh for inviting or like other KGP Stack members, like for giving or finding me worthy enough to kind of come and share whatever little I think I know. But super happy to kind of talk to KGP community and like other people also, and happy to help. At the same time, so like a brief introduction. Obviously, it was shared on the flyers and all the other things, and obviously people can look me up on LinkedIn. But just to give a brief idea, okay, computer science graduate 2008, dual degree, Nehru Hall, and post that I joined investment banking at Lehman Brothers. They are like the ill-fated 2008 incident. Yeah, I was there when it happened. So that after that I moved to I realized that okay, that whole 2008 bubble made me realize very quickly that okay, no, I should better get to smaller companies or do things which I love or which I will enjoy more. And that I jumped back into tech and joined a startup in Bombay. It was Kumli Media. It was an ad tech company. Post that, I moved to Bangalore, joined even more faster growing startup called Zynga. At that time, it was pre-IPO and like, first India center had just opened up. So this was 2011. and 2.5 years there, and then post that, okay, for some reason, like, I decided to kind of give entrepreneurship a shot, and found some like, okay, friends and peers who wanted to do the same, and we gave ourselves a shot, bootstrapped a startup called Moonfrog, and luckily that did not go that bad. So that turned out to be decent enough journey. Like, okay, and 7 years later, here we are. So yeah, that's a brief introduction.
Okay, that's really brief. We would like to know a little more.
Sure.
Maybe some of your if you have some experience to share from your school where you come from, maybe
Okay.
something which you did there, or some experience which help you in your entrepreneurship journey later. And I would like to dig more on KGP side, which I will do anyways.
Got it. So I think yeah. Let me take you back even further. Like, okay, so I was born in Bihar. I am originally from Patna. My parents still live there. My dad is a doctor, and mom is a housewife. So, but yeah, obviously, family is in medical profession. So there was a lot of expectation. Like, okay, people who are from Bihar and UP, they will understand there is education in our side of the India. Like, okay, generally is hereditary in that sense. Like, you have to follow the footsteps. But I decided that, okay, for some reason IIT JEE was a big deal, and Patna is obviously a big center for it. So I got into engineering side of the world, and luckily was like, school was all okay. School was the 12th part of it was never the main thing, because in Patna or in whole this Kota, Patna, Banaras, like the whole this triangle of education, like JEE is the main thing, right? So JEE became that utopian dream, that validation of your whatever smartness, or it will take you to this level where you can study with the best of the country, best of maybe the world. And that's how I got into IIT. Like, JEE went well, and then IIT Kharagpur was like, obviously you fill in the options in the counseling form or whatever, and then Kharagpur happened. I did not know much about Kharagpur now at IIT KGP, but in our separate hostel alone, only the first years in that, like, it was JCP and HJB. So over there, it was first year went quite safe and sound. Actually, I got into like geophysics department. So my rank was not so great in JEE, but in first year, I actually at the end of first year, I was able to get a department change to computer science, and that was a huge jump. But second year onwards, like, okay, then the actual journey started, and like, okay, both on the academic side and also on the non-academic side of it. So academic side, obviously computer science department, so then you are with the best of the lot, and really the smartest people I've ever met. Even after that, like, so much to even crack that one question or give that one test. And then you have colleagues or you have classmates or friends in the department who just wake up like, after a night long party or whatever, and still are able to solve all that in, like, in a matter of jiffy. That was great eye opener, being in that group of people, that, okay, oh, they are and that kind of makes you humble. Like, otherwise, when you come from like 2 years of really hard preparation of JEE and all that kind of stuff, right? And once you crack it, then it feels like, oh, like you are the best anyway. You are best in your locality, in your mohalla, in your city, in your town, in your family, for sure. And then when you meet people in KGP, in your hostel, in your department, like, then that is the most kind of that should fill you with humility, like, if nothing else. And that was my first realization, and that was, I actually thank that, look back, like, okay, oh, thank God that happened, because now even if I'm walking into any room or hiring people or, like, okay, setting up a team or etc., that kind of helps you see other people with a different eye. Like, okay, oh, yes, everyone can be much more smarter than you, and that is so much better, and so much more. You will be far more open to their ideas and actually do better job. So then second year onwards, computer science, and then on the non-academic side, obviously, I got into Nehru Hall, At that time, it was a lottery system, the chit that you had to draw out of a bowl. I think that was the last time they did that physical thing. After that, they started doing Excel randomization. So yes, so Nehru Hall, obviously in the Pan Loop, was famous for its extracurriculars and some unmentionables. But it was super fun. Second year was obviously went getting acquainted to this new system of like KGP's hierarchy in the hostels and all that stuff. But it was those 3-4 years, or like actually 4 years, because I was dual degree, went really great. Lots of exposure to extra academics, not just the academic part of it, but like how much you have to get involved in. Like Nehru was really great in extracurriculars at that time, or at least at the social cultural side of it. So that was also amazing journey, and lots of learnings that okay, how to balance things, not really get carried away in one dimensional like path. Like it's not that okay, you are studying this, so only do this and nothing else. Like okay, that makes your personality a little bit more kind of a very like okay focused or very single-minded. I think that's what Nehru's experience, or in the sense KGP experience of like we were cut off from the world, right? There was nothing else to do in Kharagpur. For anything, you have to go to Calcutta. And how KGP or the social cultural, the GCs over there, for example, utilize that all energy which is locked in into this small place and directed them into their hobbies or whatever they were good at. That was really good. Like at least I used it for my advantage. I would say that okay, yeah, it exposed me to work with in teams, in smaller teams, in bigger teams like Ilu Rangoli. So like directing the Ilu team, then being involved in Rangoli for all 4 years over there, and then all that was great teamwork that I learned over there.
Okay, great. I'm sure it would have been a big news, right? Going from your geophysics was your department, and then
Yes, yes,
going to computer science.
yeah. I hope
I'm sure.
like okay. I didn't realize the importance of it or the like, how big it was. I was like okay, yeah. I just had to change my department. I did not. Obviously, computer science was the dream or aspiration, but actually, I learned programming in KGP. I did not know programming beforehand, and because I studied state board like Bihar board, 12th till 12th, so yeah, programming was not in our courses in our 10th or 12th this thing. And my friends who came in through CBSE or ICSE at least had some basic experience of C or C++. So like for me, second year of KGP is when I actually got introduced to programming, and I remember that first like algorithm or first programming and algorithm courses like in the first year, where I was learning and they were teaching me, and then at the end, hopefully for some people it changed that okay, I started picking up on my own. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful. So just to get some memories from Kharagpur, I have some a good friend of yours. So let me share my screen. Let's see if we can get to know a little more about you from here.
I hope it is not
No, no, it is
too
censored.
revealing. Yeah, censored.
I was Pushpesh's wingmate at IIT Kharagpur.
Sorry, I'll play
It's
it
very
over.
interesting to talk. Hello, everyone. My name is Sumit Joshi. I was Pushpesh's wingmate at IIT Kharagpur. It's very interesting to talk about Pushpesh in the context of entrepreneurship because uh, he's so different from your typical startup founder who is supposed to be dreamy-eyed and have a lofty vision of the world. In contrast, I think Pushpesh is among the most rational and practical people I've ever known. And I think the message it sends to the budding startup founders is that if you can solve a problem in a professional and computer manner, you still have a huge scope for success in this field. But as a friend, unfortunately, that rationality is a big problem because it always used to come in the way of a good daru party at IIT. And when you're having the time of your life, who wants the rational person in the room, right? The other complaint that I have is the amount of chakna he used to eat without ever consuming a drop of alcohol. I think that's his debt to the society, which he should pay forward, and for which I wish him the best of luck for his next venture. Cheers, buddy.
So it looks like you were very unpopular
Yeah.
in
So
Daru
like
parties. You were
yeah.
eating chakna plus you were giving the rational.
Yeah, so I was not the flag bearer in those parties. Yeah, I was more of the sober guy, like, okay, taking care of that. Okay, they don't jump off the balcony or like, okay, do something irrational, which a lot of irrationality happened back in college days. So yeah, so yes.
Wonderful. Great. I'm sure people want to know your journey, how it got started. So something very unique which happened in your case, I will bring it out anyways. But
Mhm.
how did you prepare for it? I know this was not something like a lot of entrepreneurs say, you know what, I was just bored of my job. I was not happy with corporate career. So I just want to do something, and that's how they got started, right? But in
Yeah,
your case, it was not like that. It was a prepared, planned event, right? So how did you prepare for it?
got it. So yeah, so in hindsight, obviously it becomes or looks far more planned or preparedness than how it planned out or it played out. But interesting thing is like okay, at when actually we started working like okay, we graduated in 2007 2008, and then like all our friends and seniors, everyone in corporate world getting acquainted with different kinds of companies and different kind of styles. Entrepreneurship was never the thing in campus at that time. Actually, like, okay, my few friends or my few batchmates from computer science actually started a company inside campus and they continued with it and they dropped out of the college placements or campus placements. And that was the first time that concept or that whole thing came to fore, or at least came to our understanding, oh, this is possible. At least what I heard was IIT Bombay people were a little bit more advanced or a little bit more exposed to the entrepreneurship side of things. KGP was still a little behind. So yeah, so normal thing, we went into the job, but quick realization in 2008 or like that was that okay, oh, this investment banking, like okay, I did get in because campus placement. I sat for Lehman Brothers on day zero, and I got in, and I could not. Then that was the job I had to accept because on whatever at the end of the day you have to accept what you get. And on second day, Google, Microsoft, or the tech companies were starting. On the first day, there were no tech companies, and I was just stuck. So I went there and then realized quickly that okay, thanks to the 2008 crisis in one way, that no, this is not for me. Like, okay, this doesn't give me that sense of accomplishment or doing something. Like I don't feel happy about like it was not early in the career. You never mind working 16 hours or 20 hours or even like okay, stretches at times. Like okay, the whole weekend or night outs, etc. Those are normal, but that was if that doesn't give you happiness and you are doing some grunt work, whatever feels grunt to you, then you will never be happy. And in the early of the career, that was my very quick thing that okay, I don't want to do this, I want to learn first. And actually that's the interesting thing, I jumped from Lehman to a startup in Bombay because in Bombay did not have that many startups, and at that time startups were not cool either. It was a like the office was in a bungalow in Santa Cruz, and we were working, engineering team sat in the basement of the this bungalow, and then obviously small lights through the small windows on the top. And still that did not deter me that okay, oh, this is not cool, this is not fancy. I came from like Lehman's office in Hiranandani, they had some super fancy offices, but that was not the excitement for me. That was like okay, oh, I get to do things, I get to sit here for whatever long with the team and build things, see my code going into production, code or product or whatever, and be happy about it. Like, okay, the pushing code into production, pushing your features out in the world, like real world with real users, customers, if that gives you happiness, you should first optimize for that. So that was the actually career defining moment for me that okay, I did that switch. And actually I did that switch not for money at that time. Like now it seems easier, but like I actually took a salary cut to join the startup, leaving the investment bank. So yeah, I look back and like okay, maybe I was gutsy enough for some reason, but yeah, that planned out well. Then post that, that startup obviously did well, and still I wanted to learn more, learn little more faster, learn with better people. And I had this, and all the computer science folks might kind of understand this little more than others. That okay, I had the hidden aspiration of like working with a Valley startup and like a Valley culture, like okay, how a little more diverse teams, like learning from some US counterparts or like someone else. So that happened when Zynga, which is a gaming company, opened a studio or opened an office in Bangalore on MG Road. And I happened to kind of just talk there. And Zynga at that time was growing like crazy. And I remember doing this conversation with my previous or the startup I was resigning from to join Zynga, the CEO of that startup, and we two were sitting in barista, and he was asking me, why do you want to leave? And I just point blank just put this out that, okay, here I am growing, here I am doing all the coding, and like I'm happy, I'm building products from scratch. But over there, it will be a different curve, a much faster, higher slope. So I think and that's it. That's the conversation. And he was like, okay, that reason I can't deny. And then we never talked about money and everything. No, like, it doesn't matter. That reason is so solid or valid that you go follow that. Works out, doesn't work out, doesn't work out. You can always come back. And that was very like liberating in that sense. At that time, I was like, what, 2-3 years old in corporate, did not know that, okay, oh, these kind of managers or these kind of things can be said, and like, okay, people can be so relaxed about it. And that was so liberating. Like, okay, okay, yeah, I can come back if this. So that kind of removes that in your mind, whatever you think the risk is, right? That kind of removes that barrier. Once you remove that, then it becomes easy. Then like, then obviously this had to be done. Like, you had to try this. So, and all that, and that then Zynga happened. And obviously when Zynga, I left to start my own thing, again, the same thing. And I realized that, okay, I made it to a model of like, okay, just, I think this is obviously multiple books and all that stuff, but I think it has worked really well for me. Is whenever those tricky decisions or very risky decisions I have to take, I just ask that, okay, will I regret it in future? 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. Will I regret it that, okay, I did not give it a try, did not give it a shot? For some reason, that thought process has worked really well for me. Luckily or unluckily or whatever it is, but I kind of still follow it to decide that, okay, should I do it or should I not do it? And that's it. The rest of the things are just distractions, like what your, to an extent that, okay, what your family says or what you're like, finally everything, family, friends, and what the world says that, okay, oh, this is not possible, this is stupidity to leave a cushy job and do this. No, like, okay, what gives you happiness and what will you regret not doing is the final crux. If you regret anything not doing, it will show up in your job performances, it will show up in your career graphs, it will show up in your personal relationships and your family stuff also. Because if you are not happy, there will be side effects. So it's better to just kind of figure out a model which works for you and then use it whenever you are at such crossroads, I think. And yeah, like luckily due to that, now this, I'm putting theory into whatever happened in past, but seems like due to that it seems very planned. But yeah, like, okay, it was just as simple like making the decision at the right juncture with the right mental model, and that's it. Like, okay, then it feels all progressive, and luckily till here.
I'm sure when you are making a move to a startup from Lemon,
Yeah.
how did your parents react? Did you have any convincing to be done there?
Yeah, like so I feel that, okay, my parents like don't know what I do, and like, because like my parents actually don't like, oh, I never had to explain that part, because like even if they want to, sometimes my dad doesn't care. My mom sometimes wants to know, but like, then, like how do I explain programming to you or like what am I building? Or I was building some ad tech product, or before that in Lehman I was building some quant models. Like, both of them are unexplainable. So I like, okay, and obviously like, okay, being middle class parents and being like grown in such things, obviously it comes down to money also at some point, that okay, oh, but why are you taking a salary cut? And that doesn't seem logical. But then you kind of just have to bite the bullet and like, it, take that as your input. Like, okay, take whatever your parents say, friends say, everything is an input, but that's not an input to your decision framework. It should never be input to your decision framework. Your decision framework should run independently. All this are the constraints, or all these concerns of your family members or friends and everything, are some things you have to solve, or something you have to assuage, but after you have decided. Not that, okay, oh, now that, okay, everyone around me is concerned about this decision, so let me not take this decision. That is a recipe of disaster, a recipe to disaster in my mind. So yeah, I just had to explain to my mom that, okay, it's all right. In a long time period, it doesn't really matter. Like, okay, a lakh rupees here or there, how does it change my happiness, or like in general my career growth. And this was super early in my career, so like okay, what I have to lose, what's there to lose? So yeah.
Okay. So do you have a role model who you follow or you look up to?
Actually, no. Actually, like I like lots of people in the sense of like obviously in the tech world, I come from tech world, but I do not believe in like full role models. Every person has pluses and minuses, including Steve Jobs to Elon Musk to this and that. So all that is there. I believe that I generally get excited by like how this product works or how that team pulled off this product in either in quality or quantity or in time, like okay, how quickly they executed. These things excite me that okay, what do I need to learn or what do I need to unlearn to do that, and what can I figure out? And I just believe that okay, everything is like okay, that's also from college. Actually, I feel like that like okay, that everything is done by a human being. So this software has been done by like Facebook was done by Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg is a human being, maybe much smarter than me, but is a human being. I just have to figure out what is that gap, what does he have, or what do I not have, and then try to get there, and not idolize him in the sense of that. Like, okay, he has some skills which I don't have, but I have some certain other skills which he may not have. Like, at least like, okay, till the time I don't talk to him, I can keep saying this. But point is that like, okay, you figure out okay, where is the gap and how can I use my skills, add on some extra stuff by learning new things, and try to build that in a different way, in a better way, in a faster way, all that stuff. Yeah.
Wonderful. So one of the steps is typically, which is hard, is to go from a corporate high-paying jobs to a startup world, maybe joining an early stage startup where you might not have so many short-term benefits, maybe long-term benefits, right? But the toughest one for most of the people on this call or who are hearing us is they are mostly part of startups, but they are not taking the last, whatever we can call it, leap of faith, that okay, I will do something of my own and I will create something myself which will be worth something in the world, right?
Something.
So
Yeah.
what is your suggestion? Maybe your journey of starting from Zynga to Moonfrog, if you can talk about it. How did you make the decision, and maybe how did you find your founders?
Yeah.
Couple of those things.
Got it. So that is actually like, okay. Post like I started Moonfrog. Like, okay, at that time, this all I had to learn myself, or I had to convince myself. Like, okay, I was not reading books about it. The entrepreneurship was not in vogue. That okay, you have lots of blogs and articles and podcasts and whatnot today. At that time, there was nothing. But still, some things I did. I will talk about it. And over last 7 years, I have talked to or have hired lots of people, lots of younger folks. So how to convince them to join startups and leave the cushy job. So there are lots of learnings that I have built also. And at the same time, some people whom I hired like, later left or like left my company or my team to kind of do their own startups. And what did I do? So I think in my time, like okay, when I was going to start Moonfrog or going to start something like leave Zynga, the thing was that okay, I realized that okay, I am not that risk taking. I do not invest in stock market directly. Like I am very conservative in that sense of like I will not, because I know that okay, I will not be disciplined enough to do all those things. So for me, it was like okay, how can I sandbox things, like time box, like sandbox in the terms of like okay, reduce the number of degrees of freedom in thoughts or in terms of execution, and just give it a shot, like okay, till the time you can do it. And obviously that time boxing, different people will have different scale, and that is completely fine. Like okay, you should figure out what is the right time boxing for yourself. The biggest mistake younger people will do, or generally will do, who like okay, who come out of college or campus like okay, fresh or are still early in the career, like okay, 4 5 years, till 4 5 6 7 years stuff, because after that your responsibilities increase and you have to take care of maybe multiple more variables and other things. But before that, I don't think there are major ones. For some people there are, but major ones are not there. So what is better is you figure out what time box or what kind of scale of time you are comfortable with. Take risk in that time box, because it is not about money. When you're investing in stock market is, and like okay, all the intelligent investor to everything will tell you that okay, you take the risk with the amount of money, you limit the money, you don't get greedy and you limit the money. But when you're doing entrepreneurship, the money is not the point. Like, it's the time. And people generally think it's the money that, okay, they're leaving the previous salary. So, okay, if I do this for a year, I lose this X lakhs or X dollars about it. No, it's not about that at all. When you're doing entrepreneurship, it's all about your time, how much time you are ready to give, and that's the time you win or you lose. That's it. So I decided that, okay, I think I was comfortable with 6 months. That, okay, 6 months I want to try, see what happens. And this is to 2013. So this much of funding and this much of, Bangalore also was very different back then. Like, okay, I remember, like, okay, Ranagar MG Road, this much happening, or this entrepreneurship hub feel was not there. And it was very normal. Like, you did not meet an entrepreneur every day. Like, it was very rarely you will go into a meetup or like all that stuff. So it all came from within. That, okay, what's maximum to lose? And seems like, at least, like, okay, my thought was that, okay, we know gaming, we have done this, learned this in Zynga a little bit. Can we try this afresh for India market or something of that sort, or for something smaller? Obviously, the initial idea was not exactly correct or exactly panned out well, but at least that made me that, okay, what is the minimum amount of time I'm ready to give, and for which I am not gonna feel bad about, and I'll not regret about. So that came out to be 6 months. So I gave it 6 months. We'll do this. Obviously, that whole, in the beginning, how do you even start? How do you do 0 to 1? How do you find the office? How do you, like, those kind of things? And then where do you write the code? Like, okay, do you buy your own laptop, or you, like, okay, because when you're coming from a corporate, right, you have been taken care of but so well. You had everything done. Like, okay, you had life, very cushy paying job. You were living in a good apartment, or like having good social life and all that. Suddenly, when you switch, when you cross the line, you will have to start thinking of this. And I remember on the first day, I actually, first day post I left Zynga and I started Moonfrog. The first question which came to me when I was leaving for Moonfrog office is, what will I do for lunch? And that I still remember, because that was a very genuine thought. Like, I was not used to figure out or think about lunch anymore. And I had to figure, like, at that time, like, okay, if people don't remember, but there were no food startups. There was nothing. There were, like, no one there. So these are very genuine and vulnerable questions, and you will open yourself up to such randomness, ad hocness in the world. And it's okay to be comfortable. And the only comfort you draw from, oh, I am doing it only for 6 months, or I am doing only for a year. What's the worst that can happen? So you figure out, draw those safety boundaries, and that's the only and the cleanest way to do this. But you ever have the feeling that, okay, I am, like, I want to do entrepreneurship, or I want to do this idea, or like do this, but I'm not doing for certain reasons? This is a model you can use to kind of, like, okay, give it a time box, give it yourself a runway, figure out all the constraints and all the normal due diligence do on your idea and whatever, but then do give it a shot and figure out with your boss, figure out with the company. And nowadays, everybody is very open that, okay, I'll do this for 6 months, or I'll do this for a year. If it doesn't work out, can I come back? And I know whichever companies or whichever managers, whichever teams I know, they all will say yes to it generally. So that's the best way.
All right. So how did you find your team, your founders,
Hmm.
Obama?
So in Moonfrog, like, okay, we actually, so luckily in Zynga, we got to work with the Zynga India office, like, okay, which was freshly set up. Like, when I joined, I was in the first 50 people, I think. And then the team grew to 300 people plus. And then I worked with the Zynga US. So, like, okay, lots of offices on San Francisco and the LA side of it. So the network was big inside the company, and Zynga was a very entrepreneurship driven company. It was a big company from outside, but it was small teams, and each team was independent of the other teams, because it made games, and each game was a unique product or a different product catering to completely different target market on its own. So the team had lots of kind of the self-reliance and self-dependence of doing whatever they want to do. And that was a very good learning that we got. And not just me, but, like, okay, the team, that the peers that I had, or friends that we made, because you will go through hell together in that small team. Because if you make a mistake, it's all your team's mistake and nobody else's. The whole company is just sitting on the other side and your mistake. Or if you did something great, it's your good job, like, and nothing else. So that was really good experience, which made lots of smart people. Actually, lots of smart people learned through this journey very quickly. And I kind of figured out, had the connections inside the company of different departments, people who are looking at different parts of the product or the business. And luckily 2013, like, okay, Zynga had slowed down, or like the work had slowed down a little bit because it was post IPO and all that. It became a big company in that sense. So many of us came together, few colleagues of us, like, okay, and then we were discussing in general because what to do. And luckily we found each other. Actually, there were more people who were all leaving Zynga around the same time and trying to pursue different things. Luckily for me and my founders kind of found that, okay, we seem like fill each other's gaps, in the sense we make ourselves a very good complementary team. And that is a good, at least, starting position. That, okay, it doesn't make sense that, okay, only 3 product managers start this or 3 engineers do this. It was little better than that, that, okay, 1 person on product, 1 person on business, 1 person on tech, 1 person on creative. So it was a very balanced team. So we felt that, oh, we have just the right material to start. Because in 2013, we did not know how to hire the first person. We did not know. So that was very important to us, that, okay, oh, the initial team has to be self-sufficient. And luckily that happened. And yeah, we were able to start.
Great. I think we have a lot of questions coming, but we have, people interested in knowing about your business, right? Moonfrog,
Okay.
especially your customer acquisitions, right? I think your
Yeah.
numbers are exceptional. So a lot of questions which have come in advance already.
Fair enough.
Afternoon is about how did you grow? What was your strategy? Maybe if you want to talk about it.
Sure. So I don't know, like, how, like, for some people who don't know what Moonfrog does is, so we make mobile games. We make mobile games for India market. And in the beginning, we started with India market, but essentially we realized that, okay, it is actually South Asia, like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal. Like, okay, it's all the same, right? Essentially, exactly the same culture and same tastes and those kind of things. So we started, or we make mobile games optimized for this particular market. Now, this market has specific challenges, and this is, as the world now knows, there is a pre-geo world and post-geo world. So the tech problems are a huge problem, or a huge barrier generally to be solved, because everybody is not aware. And like all the net 4Gs don't work like 4Gs, and even before that 3G and 2G like were so unreliable in that sense. And we were doing real time multiplayer games, and that is a huge technical challenge. Second challenge, as a product, like most of the Indians back in 2013 2014ish were not used to touch screen, and the range is also very high. Like, okay, there are so many people using 5,000 or sub 5,000 rupee phones. At the same time, people were using 60,000, 70,000 for now 1 lakh and even above, right? So the same game has to work on 2 different, very different kind of devices. And games are mass scale. Like, or the kind of games, at least in Moonfrog, we try to make, they're mass scale. They're not meant for console gamers or PC gamers, or like, okay, oh, specific very like rich and affluent societies in tier A cities. Look, games are something creative, right? Like, okay, like movies, like TV serials, or like anything creative in that sense. Everybody is free to like or dislike it. So we had to make our games first accessible to everybody. So that these are the constraints in which we had to start, and which we were trying to solve for. Like, okay, first there was a rule that, okay, when we were making games for India, like, okay, first we will not have any device blacklist in Google Play Store. So people who have pushed apps on Google Play Store, they will know this. But you can blocklist the device, that, okay, oh, I will not support below this much RAM, or below this much OS, or below, like, okay, certain phones like Lava or Gioni or Micromax, which are too small, for example. So you can do all that. Google Play gives you that. We had a rule: no, we will never have a blacklist. We will support every single device. We will only push one build. We will not give different experiences to different gamers on different devices. That okay, oh, you do not have a good phone, so you live with this suboptimal experience, and you have a good phone, so we only work on you or give you the like. We decided that okay, just we have to be simple. So, and those are early design decisions, like in terms of product or business, and that obviously percolates down to tech as well. That okay, what tech choices you make, what product choices you make. You cannot complicate it when you just open the funnel like that, right? That a rickshaw driver is also an audience, is also a potential user of your game or your product. At the same time, a big shop owner or a like a corporate guy is also a corporate CEO is also your potential customer. Then that makes you think of the product very differently. Like you will stop asking, like you do not look at it from the eyes of like who is, I will only focus on the CEO guy because he's going to pay me and he has money, so he will spend for entertainment, and this poor rickshaw guy is obviously not going to spend for entertainment. We never had that angle or never had that constraint because we were not thinking of monetization on day one. We were first thinking of like, okay, how do we make mass scale games? And that's what we learned in Zynga. Like first you want to do scale, so it should be accessible to everybody, and that's the main thing. And then we started working on product monetization. So actually, like we'll come to user acquisition bit, but on monetization side in Moonfrog, since beginning, we never focused on ad acquisition or ad monetization. Never focused on ad monetization because that's what we learned in Zynga. That the if you can make the game or make the product so fun or so in the sense that okay uh, kind of fulfill some aspirations of the end user, and doesn't matter who the end user is a shop owner or a CEO of the company, they will have different aspirations. The game has to cater to both those aspirations for them to continue playing it. So that is the first question we will ask generally after launching a new product. That okay, how many people came back from yesterday? Not that okay, how many new people we got. The first question you will ask is how many people who installed it yesterday came back today. The next day you will ask this, how many people who installed on the first day are still here? Not that okay, how many new people have come in, because that is traction. That is a different, that can happen for different reasons. But how many people you are able to retain from day one? So we call it D1, D7, D14, D30, and D365 retentions. And these are very important in gaming. And you have to be that anal to look at that. So monetization comes from that. Like if you can retain, you can monetize. As plain vanilla, simple. There's nothing else. Like okay, there's no other secret sauce to long-term monetization. There's only one thing: you have to just retain the users, and that's it. So we focused only on that primarily. The second aspect was the user acquisition. So we actually never did user acquisition in a big way. Never. Lots of our competition did. Lots of competition did TV ads and blah. We focused on the again mass scale. So we made features which increase, which leverage the K factor. India is a very social economy or very social country. We like to talk to our friends a lot. If anyone who's watching this video can try to think, how did you find your first mobile game? Like, why did you install that first mobile game ever in your first mobile phone? Because you saw a friend playing, or you saw someone else in the shop or the bus or the train, or someone in your family playing in their devices. So you found out and then you got it from them or found it on the store. And that is India. That's exactly who we are as Indians. People, if you go to second tier, third tier cities, people actually ask the shop owner they are buying the mobile from, please install 5 good games on this, because they don't want, they are not savvy enough the Play Store and all that. So they go by the recommendations. So we had to come in the context or the top of the mind recall of people. So there has to be the brand creation a little bit. Then there had to be this, that okay, people should actually uh, give the game or ask their friends to play this game. So that's why we focus primarily on real time multiplayer games, and that luckily for us worked out very well, where our games was just shared, like Teen Patti, Ludo, or games like that. We made Bahubali and Alia Bhatt games also, but every game was tweaked towards that. Like okay, you should not play alone, you should play with your friends, so just bring another friend online or invite them over and you will have more fun. And you have to guarantee that from product side that if multiple friends play, they will have far more fun and far more this like amazing experiences together and those memories together, or some shareable moments together. And once you kind of nail that, then the cycle automatically rotates. Then people will share, people will invite friends over. Indians like to do that. So that luckily worked out for us and to this scale. And yeah, more or less.
So you are saying it was mostly word of mouth. That's
Yeah.
how you got 25 million plus.
Actually, like all out of all our installs historically till now, 99.5% would have been from word of mouth, like organic installs.
Wow, that's
We
amazing.
have
And
not, I'm telling you, like we have not at Moonfrog, we have not spent big dollars in user acquisition till now. Like, okay, I can actually a very small amount of our funding would have got into this till now.
okay, so I think that was another question people were asking me in afternoon today. That hey, how did they manage with so less funding in the beginning, right? If you want to talk about it, right? I think this is one of
Yeah.
the reasons because you were not spending so much money in acquisition of acquiring customers,
Yeah.
basically.
So yes, so we were not spending money at all. Like okay, the whatever like okay, we actually bootstrapped the company in the first 6 months. We did not know that okay, there is VCs will be interested in, or any investor will be interested in funding a gaming company for India. That happened luckily. So we ended up raising a seed from Sequoia, but all that money, whatever VC money or whatever funding we raised, like we always pushed it inwards for product hiring or product and team hiring, and to make better products or make products or features faster, so that like our thought, like for some reason our thoughts did not go in that direction that okay, oh, you have got X million, so spend that half of X on user acquisition. Because we came from that world luckily that okay, we realized retention is far more important than acquisition in the first place. So in the early days of the product, early days of your company, you should spend all your time and energy on retention of your users, because those users, when your product was not big, when those users are far more important to your business and to your product than the newer users who will come through user acquisition. And not for some high level product or this funda or gyan, but it is just basic science, basic stuff. You want your first user who found your product out of nowhere when nobody knew you want to give him the best experience or her the best experience. Make sure they retain, and they will be far more open to give you feedback as well. You can actually call them up, you can talk to them. Our players do come over to our offices. Like they have been coming to our offices since year one, like okay, since almost like okay, uh, first 2 months after our first game went out, and they just drop by, and we make sure that okay, somebody talks to them, somebody human talks to them, notes down their concerns, and like whatever the thing is, if they need to meet someone, like okay, we figure out a way to them to meet someone and helps. And they become your this feedback loop or feedback mechanism from the real world. And especially when we're doing games or products at mass scale, you need to know what users are thinking, what are they representing, what kind of cohort they lie in, like okay, what kind of user they are. And if one person is saying this, then what are they saying online, what are they saying in the reviews? Then you start connecting the dots, and all this has to be live input to your product team, and they should see this on a regular basis, not once in a quarter, not once in a month. All that is, then we are trying to figure out a process to uh, product making. No, product making comes from within. Like you have to understand whom are you making the product for, and then talk to them and hear them out, and that's it. So user acquisition was always secondary for us, and we never spent dollars on it. And we still, and that kind of, that doesn't mean that okay, oh, user acquisition is not important or it will not work. No, it will for sure work, it will, etc. But without it also you can make a product, or you can make a product at scale. And not just, I'm not talking about small scale or just in a very small corner of the world, at this scale. And like okay, we were the number one game in Pakistan for quite some time, we were number one game in Bangladesh for quite some time. Our game Bahubali, without single dollar of marketing, was number two downloaded free app in India for first like 1 month or so, when the Bahubali 2 movie released, behind WhatsApp, without any, like without $0 spent at all. So all this is possible till when you figure out what works.
I'm just getting excited, and what I'm realizing, the time is running out. We have only 10 minutes more.
Sure.
So guys, feel free to ask questions now. I will be looking at the new questions that are coming. People who are on YouTube also can, put it in comments. There is a team which is picking up questions and sending it to me here. Okay, so I will start with questions which have already come. If ad was not the prime revenue, what exactly it is?
It is like in interest rate, and I'll be quick. It is in-app revenue primarily. Like, okay, we make or we convince users to spend more time in the app, and if they spend more time in the app, then they kind of buy for small virtual items in the product in the game, and that's it. Like the whole game is played free, they can play for free forever, but if they want to go faster, if they want to play the game better, then they can obviously pay for these, pay in very small ticket sizes, even like to up to 10 rupees, but they can pay for that for getting a very quick um, leg over other opponents, and that's it. No ads.
Okay, so one question came was, what were the tech challenges you faced in serving 25 million plus customers with
Okay.
internet infrastructure like in India? How did you
Yeah.
manage?
Okay, so like, the previous point I just want to add, like ad was not the major one, but we have been experimenting with ads now in lots of games, in lots of our games, but that is still less than like, okay, 1 to 2% of our total revenue. Now on the tech side, yes, it was super. Like the kind of tech that we have at Moonfrog, it will be very hard to find in lots of big companies here as well, in even in India, in Bangalore, or even across the world. Why do we know this? Is because we worked in Zynga. We have seen what scale is. Zynga games were like, okay, at that time, one single game was 30 million daily active users at world scale, and we have run those systems. So obviously, those learnings helped us build the systems in the right way. The other like, okay, not so talked about aspect of gaming is, if at this scale you will be open to fraud and DDoS attacks and whatnot systems. Like everyone is trying to break into your systems. Think like any real money product is like being any money like wallet thing, right? Like they are being hounded by attackers, hackers, and all that stuff. So same thing happens to us. Like our users like our game so much that, okay, to get a leg up, they want to kind of hack the system or abuse the system or cheat other players. So all this happens continuously. We had to build all this in house. So that's another thing in Moonfrog we had to do, is kind of assemble the best set of engineers, uh, a small team, but who understand this and who can at least execute so faster. And luckily for us, that has worked because we kept everything in house. We never moved our capabilities outside, and that made us figure out the issues very quickly and react to it very quickly as well.
Okay, so the revenue question came from Preetham, and we have question from Subir. What is
Mm.
Zynga's nightmare in terms of new tech or disruption?
Zynga's nightmare. Like, okay, you're talking about Zynga now or Zynga that time?
Subir will have to comment on this.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Uh, okay. Do you think having last year of dual degree devoting completely on management subjects like reading analysis, a balance sheet, a SWOT analysis, and entrepreneurship will help more candidates to start up rather than joining
No,
agencies?
no, no. Like, like okay, all of us, like okay, whoever is a dual degree, they will obviously like look back. In fifth year, we did not utilize very well. Sadly, if like I can turn back the clock and go back and live that fifth year again, I'll spend it little more wisely. Not that okay, I'll start attending classes, but point is, can read little bit more. And now that okay, material is so much available everywhere, all this risk management, SWOT analysis, balance sheet, it is not a skill, as like in the sense of like, okay, it is not gonna make or save a company. It is something you can do and you can learn. If you're smart, if you have the right product, you can do this very quickly by reading a blog or going through some course in a very short span of time. Or you can hire someone, or you can take this as a service by paying some dollars. Like, okay, this is not something you should spend too much time energy on. This is something you have to do. These are compliance, these are just requirements to be done. Like you have to sign a form, that is a requirement. You don't learn how to sign a form correctly, right? So I think it is like that. You should rather learn product little bit more, business little bit more. Like, okay, what makes a business tick? Why does Facebook advertising model works? Why does Google advertising model works? It's not because they do SWOT analysis better. It works because it fills a gap, or it is a engine which kind of runs very smoothly. So focus on those things. Deep dives on product, deep dives on business, they are far more better utilization of your fifth year. And deep dive on tech for tech people.
Yes, so this was a question from Bala. There's another question which I was asked before also. Anubhav has asked, you mentioned about some course correction in your idea. Like you started,
Yeah.
what happens if you start with an idea and then you keep correcting the course.
Yes.
So how many times it happened for you?
All the time. Like, so in Moonfrog, for example, I can tell you that okay, we have made some 12 plus games in last 6+ years. 8, 9 of them have not even worked. Like, okay, not even worked, and like, okay, did not do anything. Like, okay, and we were super happy about it. I was super happy about some of them at when we were making it. But yeah, so it's okay. Like ideas fail, and you have to pivot. You have to pivot a lot. And in games, obviously, we got a chance to do this again and again. For different businesses, it will be different kind of pivots, and those are part and parcel of the game. Like you just have to play it. You have to not emotionally get super attached. You have to come out of that low or that kind of that bad phase very quickly, because as entrepreneurs it lies on you. Your team will be far more affected, so kind of that onus always lies on your shoulder. And that's why entrepreneurship is also a lot of responsibility in that sense, that you have to take decisive action even when like you can't see ahead. You are still kind of lost, like okay, why did it not work, and all that stuff, because you have to not do it only for yourself but your team and everybody behind it.
Okay, question from Varun. How did you retain or engage your inactive or dormant customers?
Okay. Yeah, if we were able to keep them active, they would not have become dormant. But yeah, you have to lay a standard product management. You have to understand why did they go dormant, like okay, why someone moved on from the game. I give this example to a lot of people, a lot of folks whom I interview, yeah, especially people to understand them the deep product psyche that is required. A game, like for example, this is an example to just bear with me. Like a kid, right? Like, okay, all kids have a favorite toy at whatever age they have, right? Like, okay, few years down the line, 1 year down the line, they have a new favorite toy. Few years more down the line, those toys, the older favorite toys, go in the dustbin, and they have figured out a new toy. Why does this happen? And it happens with all of us. We are not like we are not kids, so like it doesn't happen to us. No, it happens to us. Our favorite song in college is no longer our favorite song now. Our favorite series from 2 years back is not no longer the favorite series of us now, and we will not watch it. Some of the movies we loved as kids, we cannot watch today. Like okay, we will not stand it. Why does this happen? It is normal human behavior. We grow. The issue is when the toy doesn't grow. The toy did not change. The user was changing. The toy could not. So as a game, that's the most important thing. Like okay, game. If I have to retain the user 3 months down the line, the user would have changed. The nature market would have changed. There would have been a lot of new games, new series, new distraction, new episodes on a new web series on Netflix and movie. I still have to retain the user. I still have to retain the user after 3 years. He knows in and out about the game more than maybe even the maker, but I still have to retain him or her. So I need to get into the psyche, understanding what makes them tick, and give them before they become dormant or become bored. And this has happened to all of us whenever we have played games or any consumer product. We get bored and we move, and the game has to just update, or the product has to kind of do this before they lose the customer.
I'm sorry, guys. We are running out of time and not running out of questions. So I wish we could continue. Any one last thing I will take because it has come. Abhay has asked, what is the story behind Moonfrog? If you quickly can share.
Actually, like so, this is a fun thing. We get asked from every single new joinee in the company, and this is we have made a fun game out of it. Like, okay, we ask every new joinee or everyone who asks this question to answer this on our behalf. And trust me, that story will be far more interesting than what I can tell. Moonfrog is very simple. Like any startup founder, whoever is listening to this, like they know how much energy we unnecessarily spend on figuring out the name of the company, right? The name of the product. And that's the first week or month of the startup. What we decided that, okay, we were making games for mass. So like mass market. So it had to be very simple. Now it had to be two words. The first, like one of the words had to be an animal, because of just it is easier, because once you know the animal, it cannot be platypus. Like, okay, nobody has seen platypus, so it will be hard. So it will be it has to be very simple animal that you can remember. And you just have to like we listed down all these options and then just figured out what is the first name that none of us are vetoing. If nobody is vetoing, it's we are not trying to figure out, okay, which is the best name. We are just trying to figure out, okay, what is the name which can just pass by our eyes or like okay, ears. So like yeah, Moonfrog worked out very well. It is simple. You cannot make a typo while writing it. Old people can remember it. And even if you say it to your father, like, okay, and ask the like father, uncle, mom, dad, uncle, even grandfather, like, you can say it, or they read it somewhere, they will most probably in the same ballpark, not forget it. So yeah, luckily it just panned out well.
Pushpesh, thank you. I'm really sorry if you could answer all the questions for everybody. Thank you, Pushpesh. It was wonderful having you. How do people reach out to you if they want to reach out to you? What is the best way?
So thanks a lot, Bhomesh. Thanks for doing this and the Stack team. Like, okay, super happy, and I hope it was interesting or kind of at least informative to some people. Happy to talk to anyone like, okay, who wants to follow up. Best way will be, or the easiest way will be just ping me on LinkedIn. I check LinkedIn quite often and regularly because of hiring people. So I can reply, like, we can share notes and share contact details over there, and happy to help on any aspect, whether career, tech, product, or entrepreneurship questions in general. And yeah, just look me up on LinkedIn. Yeah, that should be
Okay,
fastest.
great. So we want to finish on time. Thank you, Pushpesh. I will make few announcements before we end.
Sure.
All right, guys. So we want to thank our sponsors again, Affine Analytics. We also want to thank our partners, GrowthPal. Um, I would like to talk about GrowthPal, founded by KGP alumnus Manish Bhandari. GrowthPal has a data and intelligence-driven recommendation engine for acquisition, strategic engagement, and fundraise. They have data on the entire universe of startups, investors, and strategic corporates, and use algorithms to give personalized recommendations. So I'm sure some of very, very specific questions which are required to be answered for your startup, I feel GrowthPal should have an answer. The team consists of serial entrepreneurs, investment bankers, and active investors in startup space. 2 out of 3 co-founders are from KGP. So please reach out to GrowthPal. And I would like to thank all the team, KGP STAC team again, our sponsors. We want to thank our alumni association, KGP Alumni Association. We want to thank the team behind. I talked about KGP STAC team. I wish I can introduce them and get you some time with them. Amazing people. All of them are seniors, my seniors. They are wonderful people. Look them up on KGP Stack page. I'm sure you'll find. We want to thank KGP Startup Community, which is an initiative of eCell to bring together all the active players of startup ecosystem and form a close-knit community that shares the passion, belief, and the values of entrepreneurship. They are excited to inform you about our new development of the community, KGP SC, a community portal that serves the need of KGP startup all in one place. So pretty much maybe your connections, alumni connections, investor connections, pretty much you can reach out to them. I will probably put all the links and names here in the chat before you leave. You can look up. And before I end, I would like to talk about our next and the last speaker for this series. Um, I'm sure some of you have heard, Madhumita is the founder of IPXL, a KGP woman entrepreneur, and the first time we are getting a woman entrepreneur on the show will be unfortunately our last. We we would like to know from audience what they would like to expect from KGP Stack. Okay, so this is something which I would like to talk this week as well as next week. We gave you some insights about some KGP entrepreneurs, but you know what? Our goal is to help the young entrepreneurs, KGP entrepreneurs, right? So we want to know from you what is your expectation from KGP Stack? How do we help you? So feel free to put your comments here. I will be noting them down. Feel free to reach out to KGP Stack group page. There are enough ways to reach out to us on LinkedIn. We have team to help you out. We are also trying to figure out what more can we do for you. So please help us out. With that, I am done and looking forward to talk to you next week at the same time. See you guys. Bye, everybody.
Bye.